Welcome everyone. In this section, we are going to look into the sponsor portal. So the same thing I'm going to do, going to the work centers. I will go through this process itself, but the only change here will be now I am going to provide the manage accounts. There will be no change in this one until here. So what's the sponsor? So let's go to the manage accounts first and you click on manage accounts. So use it. Click on the button to connect to the sponsor portal to manage guest access accounts. So let's discuss about the sponsor portal now. As I said that previously explained, what do you mean by sponsor? So for example, you want someone, some group of people you want to collaborate with them with regularly, or there are some contractors which are going to onboard onto your network for at least 2 weeks, 1 month, or maybe for 1 year. So that's when you will be using your sponsor portal. Now the sponsor portal also is the same thing. One, you will give access to the one person who can create the user or who can create the user and provide those information to their own clients. So the process here is also the same thing. Whenever this user wants to access the sponsor portal, first it will access the guest portal. So in the guest portal, whenever he tries to log in with his username and password, instead of connecting to the network, he will be redirected to this portal here. So he is able to access and he is able to create the users. He is able to create the user accounts, and he is able to distribute for their meeting people or the clients. So now by default, you see that there is a group called contractors, or it's a daily default or social login or weekly. So social login we will discuss later on, but contractors daily or weekly. But if you want to create the groups, you can still create those group into, I think in the identity group, that's for the endpoints, or in the user group, user identity group. This is where you can create the groups. So now by default, there is a contractor, daily, social login, weekly, and group accounts. So if any user who has been assigned as a group accounts, he will be like a super user because he's able to create the groups as well as he is able to create the users, as well as he's able to delete the groups, he's able to delete the users. Now type like a contractor, this is only a user who is able to access only the what do we say, user access. So he's not able to make any changes. But if it is on own accounts, that means he is able to create users and he is able to create or delete users, but he is not able to create the groups. He's not able to create the groups, but he is able to create the users. Now coming to the super accounts, he can, for example, there is a user one with own account privilege and he created a user known as Rob, and he is under the group of contractors, for example. Now the super user can delete this user or he can create a new user here saying that the new user is Alice belonging to the daily group. So that's why the group accounts, I think that's the all accounts. Sorry, that's not the group account, that's the all accounts, which is a super user. So the super user now can go to the own accounts person group and create new users or delete the new user. But with the group accounts, what he can do is that he can create different groups. He can create the users. And again, he is also eligible to see this particular user group, and he is also eligible to create or delete the groups. Now the super account can see the different groups, everything, all the visibility. This one can create the groups, create the users, but this one can only create the users. And these are all the users account. You don't have any more privileges apart from that user. So that's what you have to be careful with assigning the privileges over here. So, but most of the time you will be assigning the group accounts for people or an own accounts. So group accounts, if they have multiple teams and they have to create multiple groups, that's where, but most of the time you will be using only own account. That means you will give access to this particular user. And once the user is able to create and delete the user within that particular contained group. So let's go ahead and create that one. So if you remember that I do have already uh, identity, I will go to the administrator and identity. I do have a user one already created. So I will edit him. So first I will go with the own account. So I will change that one to own account and I will click on save. And over here, okay, so I given a privilege of own accounts. Let's go back to our work centers and in the portals. Now you cannot do anything because even if you, the thing is that if I go back to the policies, just let me show you that one. So the thing is that there is a sponsor portal option over here, but when I go back to my authorization policy, that's where it doesn't shows me any sponsor portal option. So basically it will, how you are going to access the sponsor is that logging into the guest portal and automatically it will be redirected to your sponsor portal. So if I go to the authorization profile, and if I go to the self registration and over here, you see that I don't have anything. Central web authentication, that's what it is. And if I try to see, you see that, okay, I do have the sponsor guest portal. That's good. So I will select that sponsor guest portal and I will edit that one now. Yeah, that's good because in the previous version we did not used to see that one. Now coming to the same sponsor portals, I am directly inside the work centers and I'm inside the portals over here. So inside the portals, I am inside the sponsor default portal. I'm using that sponsor default portal. Now portal settings, don't do any changes over here. We don't do anything. That should be fine. Login page, we do not require any access. Allow guests to reset the password. That's the only thing we are allowing. Acceptable use policy, we are not forcing. Change password, I will just disable that one. We don't want. Guest device registration, automatically register to the guest endpoints. BYOD, we are not doing yet. That's the next section. All right, so I do not require any guest compliance, no post tester removed, no changes, but support information I want to provide. So if I scroll up over here, you see that I'm just logging in, accepting the policies, and that's it. That is successful. But the only issue here is that when I try to authenticate, I will not get the sponsor portal. So the portal which I am talking about is this one. So that is been saved. So what happens is that I will get this guest portal login. So if I say there's user one, password is Cisco0123 is able to log in. But once I logged in, I'll click on continue. You see that I'm not able to get the sponsor portal, the previous one portal which I got it. So what I have to do is that I will go ahead and go to the administrator identities and I will make them as a super user. I will make this user as a super user so that I can see that portal. So I will select this one, all accounts, then click on save. And now I will go back to the work centers and portals, sponsored portals, click on that one. and I will test the URL before I provision that one. Okay, so right click, open in the new tab, and here if I say that user 1, Cisco 0123, continue, and you see that again the same thing. So that's what the problem, because before it used I got that particular portal, but now I am not getting the same portal which I was looking for. So if I click on that one, if I say user 1, you see that? So I'm not getting the sponsor portal, so I don't know why. But we should be getting the sponsor portal, which if you remember in the starting of the video, I got that portal and I was able to. So let me try one more time by creating a new sponsor portal. So hopefully that should be working. I will try to get that one, but that's how you will be. But again, if I select that portal again in the provisioning, and if I go back to my endpoint and if I try to access that portal, still will be the same thing which I did now. So there will be no change. Custom, and I will not make any changes over here. Login setting, that should be fine. I'm not allowing sponsor to change their own password, include support information, yes. Sponsor portal settings. So let's save this one and I will do a URL testing for this one. So in 2.4 and 2.7 version, whenever we do the portal test URL, we used to get those things, but I don't think so. From 3.0, we are not getting that actual portal which was supposed to be. Okay, so I got the sponsor portal, that's good. So I will say that user 1 and login, accept. So I'm testing this portal before I provision that one in the production. All right, looks like everything is working fine. So let me use this portal. So if I go back to the policy sets, not policy set, policy elements, I'm not changing anything with the policy sets. I'm just changing everything on the authorization profile. Everything, the changes have been made in authorization. So if I go to the self-registration profile, the same thing, and I will change that portal to the new portal. Let me see where you see that I don't see the custom portal here. So that's what the problem is. I do not see any custom profile. I created a new portal and I am able to log in into this portal. So once I selected, I changed that one to the sponsor portal, I should get this portal once I logged in. So I can create a new user here. I can say that it is user number 2, last name I don't know anything. That should be fine. End of business day, that means at night 12 a.m. I want this access to be revoked, and he is a daily one group. So I'm just changing the group for it. That's it. And that's it. And you can see that from which date to which date and what time to what time it is been allowed. And anything star mark, nothing. Click on create. So I created a new user with saying that the user 2. So now you see that the username is 0014076. That is the password. So now this can be given, this information can be given to the particular user. Now, if I go back to the manage accounts here, and this is where I can see that, okay, I have two users. So if you remember in the in the self-registration, I created this user Moise, which is now active, and this is now created. So now I can go ahead and I can delete that one. So you can see that, select and delete and click on OK. So since he has access to all the accounts and groups and everything, he can just access different groups from here. So what I will do, I will go back. I think this has been saved. So I will go back to the work centers portals. Okay, and I will test the URL of this default one. If I am getting the same sponsor portal, that should be good. If I am not getting the sponsor portal, then we cannot proceed with the lab. But anyhow, I have showed you how the portal looks like and how to create the user and how we can delete the users. So click on test portal. Yep, that's the one. It's going back to the guest portal itself. So it is not coming to the sponsor portal. So, so if you want to create a new sponsor group, that means all accounts means it's able to access all the groups. User doesn't matter which group it is. All the groups, all the users, super admin. And this one, he can create different group. Whatever the groups have been created, he can create and delete the groups which he had created. But this one is just like an own account, like an user account. Guest type, and this is where it is a contract daily, social login, and weekly. You can create your own type of guest. And these are the guest portal which we have already looked into that one. And the sponsored portal is looks like it's not working. The portal URL is not working. So if I go back to the policy elements and if I try again, if we are go to the self, so let me see if there are any options. Client provisioning, native and central web auth, nothing. So those are the only two portals I am able to see, and I'm not able to navigate any other options itself. Yep. Okay. And that's all with that one. That should be done. But anyhow, this is the sponsor portal. This is how it looks. So once the same thing we will do, we will copy paste that URL once we get that one, and we should get this portal, which we do not get in the sponsor. But with the when you have the what do we say, like physical hardware, that is physical switch and licensed ICE, we should be able to see these portals over there, and we should be able to configure those portals in there. So I hope this was informative for you, and thank you.